So, welcome everyone to this 5th edition of the SET Tech Award. Unfortunately, again, it is virtual due to COVID, which is a shame because then we cannot all meet all the startups in person after they pitch. However, it also has advantages because now everybody will be able to see the startup pitches very well, much better than if you're sitting in the back of a crowded room. And afterwards, everybody can talk to the startups in person because all of them have their own virtual booth at this event. So that is great. Then, what is this competition all about? Obviously, there is prize money involved, so a total of 50,000 euros. So that's very exciting, of course, for these startups. But then the most important, of course, is the fame and the excitement of winning tonight at this festival, because the winners of this competition get a lot of attention from all over the world. So the winners of the previous years, some of them have done really well. They've got a lot of attention and really grew from startups to scale-ups, maybe partially because of this competition. So some examples are, of course, LO3 Energy, Enapter, Instagrid, and the final one is Rated Power, a company that just raised money last week. And there, of course, from this year, there will be many more, I'm sure. So this year, there were 543 startups that applied to the competition from 89 countries. And with the jury, we went through all of them, first made a first selection, and then yesterday, almost a full day, we asked all of the startups very difficult questions and rated them according to 9 criteria. Very large and professional jury from all over the world. And we came to the conclusion that there were 15 finalists. And out of those 15 finalists in 5 categories, by the end of today, there will be only 1 winner per category. So, of course, that is also very much dependent on their pitch today, because it's very important for startups to be able to explain very well what they do and why it's important. So part of the jury is still out, and it's about the pitches today. So then very briefly, before passing the mic to the startups, I will introduce ourselves. So I am Julia Padberg of SET Ventures. We're a European venture capital fund based in Amsterdam, and we invest 100% of our capital in the energy system transition. Then I'll let Sebastian introduce himself.
Good morning, afternoon almost. Happy to meet everybody here. Very excited for the upcoming pitches, really very interesting companies. My name is Sebastian. I work at a venture capital firm here out of Berlin, so this is in our hometown here. We invest, Extantia Capital is the name. We invest into technologies that can significantly reduce CO2, so it's a deep decarbonization fund. So this is very much down our alley. The things we're looking at is predominantly hardware, so but also software that can really move the needle. So we're happy to meet the companies today.
Great. Well, then let's get to our first category, which is clean energy generation. This is, of course, a very important and vital part of the energy transition. So I'm very excited to hear the innovations of these companies. So the first company is a company that strongly believes that bringing clean energy to people all over the world is not a charity, but it's actually a very viable business model. So I give the floor to Martin Baert of Ecoligo.
Hello, my name is Martin Baert, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ecoligo. Ecoligo is a pioneer of the global energy transition and was founded 2016 in Berlin. And we are addressing one of the most pressing issues that commercial and industrial companies are facing in emerging markets, which is the high cost of power. And these business owners are smart. They know that with a solar system, they can significantly reduce their energy cost. However, they often don't implement these projects because they lack access to capital and the know-how to actually realize these systems. And this is where Ecoligo comes in. We provide them with a solar-as-a-service solution. And this is a fully financed one-stop shop, where we raise the capital for the project through the crowd investing platform Ecoligo.investments via German retail investors. And we take care of the quality of the systems as we build them with qualified engineering partners. And for the duration of the contract with our customers, we take care of operation and maintenance, as well as insurance with our global insurance partner Allianz, making sure the energy supply is as hassle-free as possible. And the business model is quite simple. Compared to the ever-rising utility energy cost, our customers start saving energy costs from day one. And they have predictable prices for the 20-year duration of the contract. And when the contract is over, we hand over the system at no cost to the customer. For us, on an average project, that means we make roughly 1 million euro of revenue. And with that, we pay the interest and principal to the crowd investors, but also cover all operational expenses, leaving us with a 23% margin. And with this business model, we successfully implemented 112 projects in 6 countries that in total save more than 607,000 tons of CO2 emissions over their lifetime. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. If we look at the global market for commercial and industrial energy usage, that stands at 2.5 trillion euro per year as of today, and is expected to triple in its size over the next 30 years by data from the International Energy Agency. And it's a blue ocean market because 99% of that energy supply is coming from the utilities. Now, obviously, such an attractive market is also attracting competitors, but we have 3 key USP against them. We provide the most flexible solution addressing really the customer needs in terms of contract and pricing methods. We have the lowest cost of capital as we raise it through the crowd investing platform. And lastly, we have a fully digital process being the most efficient in what we do. And that becomes obvious when we compare us qualitatively to our competitors. Per 1 million euro of equity raised, we are able to realize 15.3 megawatt of projects, which is 25 times more than our average competitor. And we are able to achieve this because we focused on one of our key advantages, which is a digital platform from the very beginning that addresses the project lifecycle from sales over engineering to project execution, as well as asset management. Now, if you look at the key financials that we have achieved over the past years, the key number to us is annual recurring revenue that we have under contract. And we were able to scale that from 2 years ago, 2019, of just 500,000 euro to more than 5.5 million, which is a growth of more than 1,000%. And we're also doing a Series B at the moment to further grow and to focus on sales and entering new markets, to focus on our operational excellence, as well as investing heavily into our digital infrastructure so that we are in a position to achieve the next 1,000% of growth and maximize our impact. And if that is interesting to you, then speak to me, because together we lead the global energy revolution. Thank you very much.
Yes, so thank you so much, Martin. I have a few questions for you. First of all, can you run us through the cash flow of these SPV projects?
Yeah, so each project is actually cash flow positive from the beginning, because we start with the signature of the client contract, then we raise the capital that is needed to build it, and only then we start paying the local qualified partners to build the project. And once it's built, from day one, it started to generate revenues for us that are sufficient always to cover the operational expenses as well as the interest and principal payments. So each project to Ecoligo is cash flow positive from day one.
And to Ecoligo, but also to the crowdfunders that are putting their money
exactly.
at this.
Yeah.
Great. And what happens to the money of the crowdfunders and to these solar panels if, for example, one of your customers in Kenya defaults?
Yeah, so the very first thing that we do is to ensure that that never happens. So we have a very stringent financial due diligence process that actually kicks out around 10% of the customers that are too risky for us to actually build a project. And then the second thing is we own the asset. So we own the solar panels, and if a customer in the future would default, we could actually sell off these components to a secondary market and thereby generate enough money to repay the crowd investors.
Sounds great. Well, good luck then.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Next with us is a company from Switzerland called WinJi. And I early on said we do like hardware, but this is a really interesting software piece that is going to increase the performance of existing assets in the renewable energy space. This obviously is what we in our fund call significant enablers, and I'm very glad to hear more about that. Oh, it says PowerUP though. Oh. PowerUP. Can we do WinJi now anywhere? Or PowerUP?
I think they have the slides of PowerUP there.
Should we switch or should we? Okay, then I do call the gentlemen from PowerUP Energy Technologies to the stage, and not WinJi. We're going to wait for WinJi after this. So, gentlemen from PowerUP, are they here? Okay, then please come.
My name is Ivar Krusenberg, and I'm a CEO and founder of PowerUP Energy Technologies. PowerUP is a manufacturer of hydrogen fuel cell-based smart electric generator. But first of all, I would love to introduce you world-famous 37-year-old professional sailor, Irina. In 2019, she went through the severe accident in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean while she had a race to cross the Atlantic. She lost her mast. She was completely having a blackout. This means she had no electricity whatsoever, and she lost her boat. She was luckily rescued by the cargo ship, so she didn't lose her life. And her boat was found more than year after the accident. She had the solar panels in her boat, but there was no sun to power up the solar. The batteries were there, but these were not enough because the batteries are not good for the maritime because of the heavy weight, and the same for many other applications. And she couldn't use the propelling systems as well because she didn't have the wind and also no sails, so no movement. And obviously, she could have used the diesel generators, but it's well known in the maritime industry that even if you have 2 generators on your boat, it happens that none of these really start up because of the corrosion. So this is the reason why we came out with this amazing product, hydrogen fuel cell-based smart electric generator. Why it's so great? Because it's easy. It takes oxygen from the air, and it takes hydrogen from the tank, and these two are reacting inside the generator. There's nothing burning, almost nothing moving, and the outcome is electricity, heat, and water. Plus, on top of that, it's lightweight. It's only 10 kilos. It's the size of a small toolbox. It doesn't need any maintenance, and it's plug-and-play system. On top of that, it's zero-emission technology. It doesn't create any CO2. It purifies the air through the filters. And also, we're using as many recyclable materials as possible. On top of everything, it's 10 times lighter than the best battery technologies on the market. So far, we have sold our units to the maritime industry, to the camper vans, and to the off-grid homes. And our clients have now more than 4 times of the electricity they have had with the nowadays technology so far. And obviously, these are just the niche markets, and we are targeting big market segments like telco. We are developing currently a new 6-kilowatt system with one of the biggest telco operators in the Scandinavia. And obviously, our systems can be used with the wind turbines in the construction industry and so on, so on. And by that, we expect to get to the 70 million in revenue by 2025. And how we can make it because of our really unique IP. We have filed 1 patent and up to file several more patents. And as we know, the biggest issue has been the market barrier, the hydrogen so far. But we have came around that by creating our own hydrogen strategy. So we can really provide hydrogen to our customers with less than 24-hour delivery. On top of that, we have also opened up earlier this year the first ever hydrogen cylinder cabinet, and we are planning to open 800 more of these 2022. And we couldn't make it without our great team of 25 people with variety of skills, and we have in our team more than 60 years of experience in the fuel cells. And obviously, our famous advisory board, one of them, Albert Hsu, former vice president of Apple, and also the Nobel Prize nominees in the advisory board. And we're partnering up also with some of the famous organizations like European Space Agency. And we are currently looking for 800,000 pre-Series A fundraising, which is going to the manufacturing and also sales and marketing. And today we can say that Irina is using our generator, and she can be sure that she can cross the Atlantic without any issues. Thank you. I'm Ivar from PowerUP.
So very interesting. Thank you very much. I'm a great believer in fuel cell technology. Can you give us an idea of the addressable market for this? How big is the market you're trying to address here? And how? Yeah.
The wind turbines, even one of the producers is producing more than 6,000 wind turbines per year. So the market for our units is enormous. There's more than 123 billion diesel generators to replace across Europe and the world. So the market for portable hydrogen fuel cell-based electric generators is enormous.
And from a cost perspective, economic viability, how much is there a premium price for your fuel cell, or?
The premium diesel generators are costing around the same price as our products right now.
You also mentioned, my last question, you mentioned the H2 supply, so you're managing this through these cartridges. How do you serve the small off-grid customers with H2 supply?
We're partnering up with the biggest players on the market. So our customers can get hydrogen through us, but from Linde, Life, and so on. So this is a quite huge infrastructure we're building up right now.
Okay. Thank you very much. So next on stage is True Power. I think that's you. Yeah? True Power? Okay, WinJi now, finally, at long last. Okay, and is WinJi, I introduced you guys before, so we're really happy to see you. As I mentioned before, software as an enabler can play a very significant role in making our existing grids much smarter, much more efficient. So these gentlemen from Switzerland are here to tell us how they're going to make our renewable energies a lot more efficient.
Thank you very much. My name is Bernard. I'm the co-founder and CEO of WinJi, based in Switzerland. I'm sure you all know about the incredible natural resources available to produce renewable energies. And the good fact is, the energy transition, our topic, it's taking place on a global scale. But do you know that almost all wind and solar farms are actually suffering from performance inefficiencies? Our analysis show that on average, 10% of revenues are lost due to a lack of sophistication. WinJi is closing this gap. By supporting and investing into WinJi, you actually make an impact in tackling climate change. And WinJi will help its clients and economies to achieve its goals faster and with less capex. That means, for example, for Switzerland, one of the most efficient economies in the world, Switzerland can achieve its goals to reduce the CO2 emission by 25% in 2025 by applying WinJi technology on a global base. Our solution is a software as a service platform built from renewable energy experts and data scientists for asset owners. It covers all relevant aspects, starting from data acquisition, all the way through AI-based analytics, to generating actionable insights and reporting. It is fully scalable, cloud-based. There is no hardware required. It is completely technology agnostic to match large wind and solar portfolios of our clients. And it also supports seamless integration of newly acquired or installed plants. For our clients, that means an unparalleled transparency with regard to performance, both on the portfolio level as well as on a machine or turbine level. Top-down decision-making support to take actions, and also access to our renewable energy experts to make that happen. This is what we call true power. We all know this is a huge market and fast-growing market. And WinJi is helping its clients to improve their project IRR in the order of 40%, as we've seen in our past track record. Market experts expect 13% annual underlying market growth, while we from WinJi plan to again grow by more than 200%, as we have done it in the past 2 years. The relevant market size will reach 600 million euros next year, while we from WinJi plan to achieve a market share of 10% over the next 5 years. Our track record is quite considerable. Today, 55 clients from 18 countries and 4 continents rely on our solution. We plan to achieve 1 million in annual recurring revenues by the end of this year. And in this existing customer base, we can rely on an additional 5 million euro of annual recurring revenues to grow. When we look back into more than 1 billion of euros analyzed revenues, we have on average helped our clients to improve their production by 3.5%. One of the largest assets is, of course, our team of very experienced founders and advisors. Together with our renewable energy experts, the data scientists, and a great client success management team, we are able to develop our own intellectual property as we've done that in the past. We are currently also in 2 more funded research projects to develop additional IP. We are here to raise 5 million euros to boost our international growth in this fantastic ESG market for impact management. And if this is something interesting to you, please contact me, and I'm looking forward to take all your additional questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. Very impressive figures you have. Can you give us, the audience here, a bit of an example? How do you actually improve these efficiencies in a practical example?
Yeah, actually, it's not that difficult. I mean, it starts with the way we identify underperformance. And then after we have implemented measures, either the OEM or the operations team or recommendations we implemented, we simply go there and measure again how the production efficiency has improved. So it's basically the same algorithm. Identifying the gap is there also to then demonstrate the improvement. Understood, but at sort of practical level, I'm now the owner of a windmill. Yeah, so basically you have 2 drivers. One is like unwanted downtimes, and the other one is poor aerodynamics. And poor aerodynamics is responsible for 70% of the underperformance, and it's actually not so difficult by better pitching of a wind turbine and better alignment of a wind turbine with the wind conditions which you observe within a wind park to achieve these 2 to 3% additional output.
Okay. My other question would be about the defensibility of the IP that you have. I mean, obviously, the improvements you're showing, the numbers you're showing, how do you make sure that this is a lasting and competitive advantage? What sort of, how do you defend this IP?
Innovation, constant innovation. Talk to the client, get their concerns and their needs, and further innovate.
Okay, you're planning to stay ahead. That's a good
Absolutely.
strategy. That's a good strategy. With that, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So these were actually the 3 contestants of the first category, so for the first of these 5 prizes over here. And now we move to the second category, which is energy distribution and storage, which is hopefully going to solve a big bottleneck in the energy system transition. And this first company that is presenting is pretty amazing because they launched only a year ago. And last week they already launched or announced an $8 million funding round, Series A round from a US investor. So I'll give the floor to Accure Battery Intelligence. Very curious about their story.
Hey everyone. Thank you, Julia. And hi everyone, I'm Kai. And at Accure, we use cloud computing to make batteries safe and sustainable. And I think that's pretty important because batteries are really like the missing link for the energy and also mobility transition. Batteries today are everywhere, in electric cars, in home storage systems, or in large-scale, storage containers that integrate solar or wind farms into the grids. But as we have also learned over the past few years, batteries not always work as planned. There might be early failures, there might be unexpected downtime. We all know that batteries age and over time change their properties, which can dramatically reduce the resale value of your car, for example. Or in a worst case scenario, and we have seen quite a few incidents about that, they can catch fire, like the one we see here, and that should be a video, but it's not, where in southern Australia a few months back, one of the largest battery installations in the world, built by Tesla, burned down. We had a recall of over 200,000 electric vehicles by General Motors, by Hyundai, and by Kia because of over 30 battery-related fires across the world. And in 2019, there was a large fire in the US where several firefighters were actually hurt. And this has really turned the public eye to the idea of, are batteries really safe, or is this an asset that is ready to be rolled out on a global and massive scale? And we believe that there are still a lot of untapped potentials to make batteries better. Some of them are in hardware, some of them are in production quality, and some of them are in software, and that's where we come in. So the Accure Cloud is basically a cloud platform that uses existing battery data that's already being generated today by the battery management system. It's a small chip that's on every battery that generates voltage, current, temperature readings, but this is not really used today in a structured way. We ingest the data into the cloud. We have lots of smart models, physics-based models, electric, thermal, aging, machine learning. And from all this millions and millions of batteries and the models, we gain insights into what's really happening inside of the battery. And with that, we can predict battery fires. We can track the performance. We can predict aging, calculate resale value, and all these other really cool things once you understand what's going on with an asset that you can use it. As Julia mentioned, it's only been a year, 15 months now that we started this company, but things have gone quite successful, I want to say. So we're already managing almost 800 megawatt hours of storage around the world. We're basically monitoring all the big manufacturers that are around, from LG Chem to Samsung to CATL and Panasonic and all the other ones, in variety of use cases, really, from e-mobility, which can be cars, scooters, or ships, to stationary storage systems that integrate renewable energies. I don't know what this is. So this slide should tell you that some good news actually happened, because 2 weeks ago, HDI, one of the largest insurance companies in Germany, accredited our monitoring service as a safety measure for batteries. So if you want to insure a battery today, which has become much more difficult, in the light of the recent events, if you use our monitoring, it actually becomes cheaper. And that's a great validation of what we've been working on, of what the team has been building over the last year. So about the team, we have grown to 40 people already within not even 1.5 years. We're based out of Aachen. My 2 co-founders, we all studied at RWTH Aachen, did a lot of electrochemistry and a lot of engineering. We actually met at martial arts almost 10 years ago, and yeah, super happy to have them on the board. A few words on our timeline. We started last year. We had our first seed round in September of last year with Capnamic and 42Cap out of Germany. And then we just closed, as Julia mentioned, a Series A round with Blue Bear Capital from California a few months back. And hopefully, we will soon manage and improve every single battery on this planet, because I really believe that batteries can be a big benefit to the energy transition if we make them smart and safe. Thank you all for your attention.
Great. So by how much does your software improve the battery lifetime?
That really depends on how bad they are when we start working with them. So I think it's only fair to use very high-quality batteries and see how much you can get out of them. And we have seen 20–25% on A-level batteries. If you take something that's already cheap, you can get 200–300% easily, but
Yeah, great. And some of your competitors, like Twice and Voltaic, they've raised a lot of money already, and they're also growing very fast. So how would you be able to grow faster than them?
I think what really has empowered us is that we're a pure software play. We don't do battery tests. We don't do additional sensors. We really work with what companies already have, which enables us to also retrofit into a system. Some of our customers that we started working with, they had 5 years of battery data, like terabytes of data, sitting on their servers, and no one ever looked at it. And when we plugged into it, we said, hey, for a small pilot project, we're going to show you just how much better you can be. And when they saw that, they were like, okay, go. And so that has been, I think, a good business decision to do it that way.
Well, it sounds like it's working out very well for you. So yeah, good luck with that. Thanks a lot for your pitch.
Thank you, Julia.
And then we move to the next one. So the next company is not a typical startup, because they're actually a spin-out from a very large company, which is the big Belgian TSO, the transmission system operator. And they have developed in-house with a lot of very smart engineers a very cool tool for dynamic power line rating. And actually, Elia, the Belgian TSO, thought this is not only relevant for Belgium, but it should really be relevant for all the TSOs across the world. So therefore, Ampacimon launched its own company, and we're very excited to hear their pitch.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Valentin. I'm from Ampacimon, as you say, a Belgian-based company. Small remark, we are no more part of Elia. We are now an independent company. So we are a spin-off, initially spin-off from Liège, startup company. We have been on the market for some 10 years now, addressing the market of the transmission and distribution power line with dynamic line rating. Today, we are a team of 40 people making data-based monitoring solution, addressing the needs of the transmission and distribution lines to increase, for example, their existing lines, power line load, and also supporting them to make their grid more resilient. Today, our solution is used by several TSOs and DSOs in Europe, in USA, and also in Asia. So what is the dynamic land rating? I will use my next slide. Dynamic land rating is an innovative solution made of measurement of the conductor temperature of on the line side, and the wind. All this information is aggregated into the solution and provides real-time and forecasted ampacity to the grid operators, enabling them to increase the capacity of their lines up to 20 and sometimes up to 30%. So this is about the solution, and all these data is measured on the sensors which are placed directly on the power line. So I decided today to present, since we are in Germany, a German business case. As you may know, Germany is one of the pioneers and the leading countries in the renewable energy integration into their electricity grid. Hence, the transmission power operators, as they need to integrate this renewable energy, they are facing some curtailment issue, and they have a need. They must invest in their infrastructure. When I say so, that means also they need to feed more renewable energy. They need to install more additional power lines. But this is time-taking. It takes a lot of time, resources, and investment. And there is a serious risk of delay to meet the integration of the renewables and also to increase the curtailment cost. So here is our proposition. So we propose to equip these lines, these most curtailed lines, to equip that with the sensor-based DLR system. This investment is estimated some 10 million euro investment, and could then benefit to the savings, annual savings of some estimated 250 millions. And this would, of course, help to reduce the consumer electricity consumer invoice. We are facing current energy situation, and we believe that every mean which could enable to reduce the risk on the supply chain must be taken, and to reduce the impact on the final electricity consumer. And we believe that our solution can be one of the enablers to meet that demand. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So very technical, but super high impact. That's great to hear.
It's not easy to explain in 5 minutes, but yes, I did my best.
Yeah, great. And so I was wondering about the installation of your devices. So some of your competitors are using drones for this. What is your approach and why?
So I can tell you that the competitors, sensor-based, are not yet using drones. It's not yet official. So some of them are planning to do so, but there are no competitors today or any company using that technology, sensor-based, able to do the drone installation. But it may come in the coming months or years, yes.
But is the installation very complex and cumbersome, or is it quite easy?
Well, depends. We have some TSOs. I can take example of Statnett in Norway. They did the installation with helicopter. So our solution can be installed during the line shutdown. So you need some equipment from the ground to do the installation. But it can be also done, like with Statnett and also in some other TSOs. You can use a helicopter crew and install the sensor during the power fire without line shutdown. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
And so you're selling all over the world, I heard. Can you say something about the sales cycles in different countries and regions?
Well, it's time-taking. You need to address different silos. So people from the asset management, people from innovation, because they are looking for innovative solutions to improve the grid resilience. And then you need to speak also from people from the operations, from the planning, So it needs to be driven, and I didn't say that one of the major advantages of our solution is that the data can be fully integrated into the TSO system or DSO system, so it means SCADA, yes.
But do you see a difference in Europe and elsewhere? In
I
sales
would
cycles?
say that USA is more fast-paced. Scandinavia, it's also more fast-paced, and Germany, it's a bit time-taking.
Super slow, okay, yeah.
I didn't say super slow, but it's time-taking, yes. Yeah.
Great, well, yeah, so it's difficult to get in, but once you're in, you're generating huge savings, and that's
yes,
what
that's
it's
right. That's
what it's about.
That's the goal, yes.
Great, well, thank you so much for your pitch.
Thank you, bye.
Okay. Next, I think we have a gentleman who's probably sitting with us tonight in his local place. We are talking to Evergen from Australia. So Evergen is addressing also a very interesting market. It's the market of storing energy again, and they have created a platform that connects different batteries to each other. So we are keen to hear on how they're going to make this work.
Thank you very much, and good evening from Australia to all of you in Europe. I wish I could be there in person, but this year it was a little bit challenging, as you might be aware. So my name is Ben Hutz. I have the great privilege of running Evergen, which is a complete cloud computing business focused on connecting together all of the things that relate to the energy systems of the future. So I'm just trying to make my slides go forward. Hopefully this will work. Forgive me, technical challenges. There we go. Okay, so Evergen exists because the planet's on fire, and we believe this is a human crisis, a global crisis, and that we must urgently decarbonize the energy system. So Evergen's mission is to kill coal-fired power stations in more than 10 countries around the world, really by using software to enable smarter energy systems. If someone could click next, that would be great. So the world looks roughly like this today, and if we go to the next slide, we can see that what we believe the world needs to be is much more decentralized. And decentralized energy systems, if someone could go to the next slide, please, involve connecting together lots and lots of things. So it's not just storage, like storage is really important, but it's generation, it's load, it's electric transport, it's all sorts of decentralized things, and it's many, many more things than we have in the energy systems today. Next. So Evergen's history is 5 years old. We were formed around some science and technology around optimizing batteries, and that has now evolved into really complex software that connects together everything from home batteries through to solar farm batteries, through to solar farms, wind farms, devices in homes, devices in business, electric transportation. We really connect together all of the devices that we think make up a very decentralized energy system. Next. Okay, so we focus on 4 key areas. So we run thousands and thousands of homes in different types of virtual power plant in Australia, in some places in Europe, and in Latin America now. We've then evolved into larger properties, so larger systems, larger batteries, more generation, and we're working in Chile and in Australia on some commercial and industrial VPPs. We run software that optimizes hydrogen batteries that will soon be deployed all over the world, and we're now operating on solar farms and hopefully soon to be wind farms in both with storage and without storage. So really we're using software to connect together the whole value chain all the way through from consumption in people's homes to generation on renewable generation assets. Next, please. So the way the business works is that we have half of the company or half of the focus is on acquiring connections to assets, and that's through distributions through partners that could be utilities selling and installing batteries or EVs, or other people distributing and installing EVs, or hardware manufacturers selling batteries or EV chargers. They basically connect their assets to Evergen software as part of the sales process because we make them perform better financially. And then on the right-hand side of the picture, we focus on monetizing what we do, getting paid by the energy system, by electricity retailers, or by networks, or by asset owners for orchestrating the way these assets work as part of the energy market. So energy markets all around the world are slightly different, as we all know, which is complexity, but it's also an opportunity for something like Evergen, where software is really, really flexible, and we can adapt very easily to different market dynamics and different tariffs and different market structures in different countries. Next, please. So we connect together lots of things, and this picture, we're really just beginning here, but we can take inputs around different types of weather or market prices from different countries or different partners or different utilities, and we connect lots of devices, so lots of batteries, hydrogen batteries, EVs, EV chargers, air conditioners, hot waters, and solar farms and other things. So our objective is to make all of the things that are IoT connected work more harmoniously and more beneficially together, just using software. So there's no hardware in what we do. We connect, as our friends earlier tonight said, we connect to all of the devices using the APIs and the software frameworks that they have, and we create orchestrations and optimizations for different types of assets. Next, please. So we connect lots of things. Next, please. Conscious of time. And over the last 2 years in particular, you see that we've started connecting lots of things. This is mostly in Australia. By the end of the year, we'll be about 10,000 assets, most of them batteries in homes and businesses. By the end of next year in Australia, we should be at nearly 40,000 batteries. And interestingly, about half of those will be owned by utilities, which is an interesting change in the market, and we're seeing the same thing elsewhere in the world. Next, please. It's extremely complex. The technology is mind-blowing. Next, please. We process lots and lots of data. We're making lots of predictions and lots of kangaroos here, as our head of data science likes to compare predictions to kangaroos, but we're making very, very complex mathematical decisions all the time at scale. Next, please. As a business, we've made considerable traction, particularly in the last 12 months. We're growing 20% month on month. We are scaling with very long-term contracts with utilities around the world. So this is really the beginning of growth for us. Next, please. And you can see over time, revenues expanded from residential VPPs into commercial, industrial, and now utility scale revenue sources. So building out from a small client into a large distributed world. Next, please. I understand. So I'll just summarize by saying that we believe software is the answer to lots of the problems in the energy system. We're here because we think humanity needs to make a change, and we can help with that. We are expanding overseas, and we'd be delighted to engage with anyone interested in supporting that. And thank you all for having us tonight. Apologies for the technical glitches.
So thank you very much. Very interesting approach. Obviously, my number one question with any platform would be, how do you get what's the incentive for the people to sign up with you? What's the benefit of you mentioned you have utilities or private homes. What is it? What makes them go for your solution?
Yeah, so with Evergen, everyone wins. So consumers' batteries perform better financially, and they last longer, and they're managed more sensibly. Their life is extended, and we give them software for free. The hardware manufacturers like us because we make their assets perform better financially, so they sell more batteries. The retailers like us because they can connect together different types of manufacturer in one platform with one trading strategy. And the networks like us because we can deliver frequency and voltage and demand charge avoidance and all sorts of things across different types of batteries. So our role is to enable everyone to benefit from connecting all these assets together.
Okay. And the other question I asked similar before is about the defensibility again here of how unique is your process? What are your competitors out there? How do you plan to stay ahead?
Yeah, so it's a big old world out there, and I don't think energy is a winner-takes-all proposition. People often ask us how we compete with Autogrid with all the money they've made, and we compete because we're agile and we do slightly different things slightly better than they do. It's a race to innovate. We innovate by connecting more things together than anyone else. And we innovate by being really agile and making sure that our algorithms perform better than those of even the best manufacturers.
Okay. And last question from my side would be, can you use any type of storage or any type of battery, or is it only certain types of batteries that you can actually connect?
Any type of battery, as long as it has an API framework that allows control and high-resolution data monitoring and telemetry. And we partner with all sorts of hardware manufacturers around the world with different battery chemistries, whether it be hydrogen batteries or lithium batteries. Like, we're partnering with more than 20 manufacturers globally to help them make their batteries accessible to people like us, because we think that's the future.
Maybe one very last question is, and you're targeting sort of the mid-performance, sort of mid-storage range, I suppose, right? Or also long-duration storage?
It's typically for us fast response and mid-duration. So like hydrogen batteries are long duration, but useful for different things. And there's a secondary market for hydrogen. Lithium-ion batteries are very useful in short-term responsiveness in certain markets. We go where markets demand products, so we're adaptable to things that work in different markets and different conditions for different customers.
Thank you very much, and good evening to Australia.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us all the way from Australia. So that wraps up the second category, energy distribution and storage. So now we move into the final category of this session, which is smart mobility and transportation. So as we've all experienced, this is a booming sector these days because about everything will have to change in mobility and transport in the coming years. So there are a lot of bottlenecks in there, and our first company, ChargeX, is trying to solve some of these bottlenecks. So first of all, the installation bottleneck of charging capacity for electric vehicles, and secondly, the hassle of having to get up at night to change your plug into the plug of your neighbor. So very excited to hear the pitch of ChargeX.
So, welcome everybody. Thanks for getting the opportunity, and that was a perfect pitch, Julia. Actually, I don't have to do anything right now. But my name's Toby, I'm the CEO and co-founder of ChargeX, and we are disrupting the EV charging market. If my colleagues, my friends, and my co-founders would describe me in one sentence, it would be, Toby just loves electric cars. And when I was still studying, about 6 years ago, I bought my first electric vehicle. It was a used Renault Zoe with several 100,000 of kilometers. And back then, I already knew this is the future, and the future will be battery electric. But right now, we see a big transition to this market, and we see a lot of things happening here. And first of all, we see a high demand for charging stations, because the ranges go up, the prices go down. I guess it doesn't move anymore. Thank you so much. So the prices go down, the ranges go up, but we have a big lack of charging infrastructure in the private spaces, at companies or at private areas. And back then, thinking about a solution, we had a really simple idea. Back home, you know it, if you have several devices like a tablet or a smartphone, but you only have one power outlet, you wouldn't even consider calling an electrician. You would just use a power strip. And we used this basic idea and transferred it to the e-mobility space and developed the first power strip for charging infrastructure. It starts with the first module. I have one here. You only need one grid connection and you can install your first charge point. But then you can plug and play, integrate another charge points if you want to charge several cars and can use this more efficiently. But you're super flexible about the future, because if you have new electric vehicles or new plug-in hybrids coming on the go, because the majority of cars are still to come, you can easily extend the system for up to 10 charging stations, so you can be pretty relaxed about the future of e-mobility. In the end, we are technology companies, so we are, of course, building the hardware ourselves. So this is our Aqueduct module, and the innovation here, it's a foolproof plug-and-play installation system. So we set the world record for installing a 22 kilowatt charge point. It just takes 15 seconds. That can be done by anyone. And we have a patented safety system, so you can actually integrate as many chargers as you like to the first grid connection, because we can physically guarantee that the grid will never be overloaded in the first place. So in the end, why do people buy our solution? We can reduce the total cost of installation by 50%, and with the same budget, you can install twice as many charge points than our competition. But we're not only doing hardware, we're also focusing on the user interaction with our system. And in the end, you have a lot of people sharing this one grid outlet. So the user experience is a critical thing. And that's why we developed the Drop Energy Sharing app. So this is a fully digital charging experience. You don't need any charging card at all. But the cool thing is, there's like an in-app trading of energy. So you get incentivized by an in-app currency. We have a gamified approach there. You get incentivized by charging at a lower rate, and you can use this flexibility, your drop coins within this app, for fast charging when you actually need it. And in the end, this is done so we can utilize this grid outlet even better by having a good set of mobility data. Because we know how much range the people actually need, and we know when they're going to leave, so we can distribute the energy to the cars that actually need to be charged. And that's a big challenge for the future of EV charging. So we solve both of those bottlenecks I just described in the beginning. So this lack of electricians is done by a plug-and-play system. So actually anyone can do it, even a janitor or facility manager. And the flexibility potential of our drop app enables 10 times the amount of charge points than our competition. And that's why lead customers like Volkswagen, lead customers like SAP, and many other companies, we have more than 1,000 charge points already installed, set on the ChargeX solution. Of course, this is done by a great team, so it's not only me. So I have an automotive background. I'm more the automotive guy, worked for Tesla Motors and other EV charging startups. But it's also Michael, who's the CTO that built the whole product on its own. It's more an energy background about the integration of EV cars into our grid. And we have more than 25 people working on the vision of ChargeX in our Munich-based office. So the product is there. We're ready to scale and really looking to this exponentially growing market every day. In the end, that's our vision. So we want to create the interface between a whole new way of mobility by using electric cars and the renewable energy to distribute the energy into those cars that really need to be charged. And in the end, if you believe into this electric vehicle future, that you see a lot of cars in the future on the road, and if you want to have more charging stations out there, you should definitely give ChargeX your vote for the SET Award 2021, because we are thrilled, we are ready to scale, and if you want to have our solution at your workplace, just go on our website, configure it, and it will be shipped within 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks. So I love it that it's so easy to install by anyone, but still you need hardware. So some of your competitors like Greenflux and Drives, they use pure software for smart charging. So why do you need hardware for this smart charging application?
So it's pretty simple to explain. If I show you our product, like on the backside, you can't charge a car via the cloud. That's not possible yet, so that's why we need this physical interface between the cars and our energy grid. And we just innovated on the hardware level that it's so easy with a plug-and-play system, and there was no charging station out there, so we had to develop our own, and we did it pretty well. But in the end, it's a combination of hardware and software, and we are developing both. But only with this difficult installation experience, it's not going to work out, because we have a lack of skilled labor, and we need to solve that in the first place.
Great. And what channels are you using to reach all of these different parking lot owners?
So first of all, it's of course direct sales. So people know about ChargeX, they order it directly on our website, and then we ship it to them. But it's also about distributors and energy providers. So we have a large cooperation with the DUCKT group. It's more than 120 utilities here in Germany, and they sell it to their fleet customers. So in the end, the biggest problem we have ChargeX that people don't know about us, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're trying to solve right now.
Great. Well, hopefully you get a lot of attention out of this then. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next on stage is DUCKT. Here we go, DUCKT. As you can see from the picture, they are solving also a very interesting problem. Who in the audience owns an e-bike or e-mobility, micro-e-mobility device? I'm sure there's quite a few. And the question that always comes up, so where do I charge this device? And DUCKT presents us an answer to this challenge.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Çağrı, CEO and co-founder of DUCKT. As you can see, we are delivering a USB standard for micromobility. As you all know, and in the introduction we were talking about, the micromobility industry is growing very fast. It's becoming a giant. Today, the vehicles out there are around a quarter of the automotive industry, and it will just speed up from now because during the pandemic period, there's more and more people moving into personal mobility solutions, and it's a good thing for the urban mobility at the end of the day. But this very rapid growth comes with growing pains. There's disorder in public. The vehicles are everywhere, but they're not where they're supposed to be. There's huge fleet complexity issues, security issues, integration issues, and operation costs. So what do we do about that? Because all of these vehicles, a quarter of the automotive industry today are joining in to the urban mobility environment, which is going to be the already dense area, and all these vehicles are going to be looking for parking and charging solutions. Just as a tiny example, only in Germany, only the e-bikes that are sold inside Germany last year are more than all of the EVs that are sold in all of Europe. So there's a lot of clients that are looking for these solutions. But what about the infrastructure? How do we integrate? Because in every mobility solution, obviously there's going to be an infrastructure solution, but micromobility is very different. All of these vehicles are shared, they're out there in the street, so the approach needs to be different. According to us, there is really 3 important aspects that we need to stick close to. The first one is to create a charging standard. As I said, we're planning to become the USB standard for the industry. That means we need to have an upscale integration. So we already integrated around 85% of all the vehicles in the market that are from factory ready to deliver DUCKT compatible. Also, 8 out of 9 biggest software producers are already integrated. That means tomorrow, if you buy a vehicle, you're already ready to use our stations. Second, it needs to be easy because it is human nature. We always do the easiest thing to do. And all of these vehicles, remember, are shared, which means that we need to automate the whole system so you don't need to worry about it. How it works is that when you park a vehicle, we recognize the vehicle. These are 4G IoT devices, connect to any software and let you know which vehicle is where in which state. We lock it and we start charging it. We even Android for you. For the end user experience, it's just pushing in, hearing the beep sound and leaving. We do the rest. And third, obviously, is in the business innovation. Very recently, we closed a contract with Paris municipality. Soon, we are going to roll out our stations. The business model is we bring the stations for free, and the authorities, either private or public, can use us as a regulation device, and the operators or even B2C clients with their own vehicles can come and use the exact same station and pay as much as they use, and we share the profit with the cities, which means we create a stakeholder map for these cities to be integrated with these new systems and even make money from it while they're regulating it and serving it to all the clients in one spot. The second model is more straightforward. These are consumer products. You can buy them. You can create your own business model. At the moment, we have more than 700 stations in Manhattan working day and night. And soon, it's going to reach up to 1,200 stations globally. Next year, summer, 7,000. And remember, although we're talking about hardware, there's a huge data potential in the background because these are the untouched grounds that we need to collect more information and then facilitate upon so that these micro-mobility solutions in urban mobility can work much better. We know all of this because we're coming from automotive, we're coming from mass production, and we're coming from mobility sector. A combined experience of 30 years. But we didn't stop there. Inside this last 15 months that we started the company, we reached up to 22 teammates, and we acquired more than 20 international levels. Just recently, we got the Red Dot Design Award for Urban Design in 2021. It's been 300 beautiful days that we started serving clients, but I think the most important detail in this slide is the 54%. More than half of the people that we are serving right now are the people that found us and connected us. That means the market is looking for this solution, and that percentage is growing day by day. And this is the map at the moment. As you know, startups are moving fast. It's been a week since this slide is on, but now I'm happy to add here also San Francisco, Miami, South Africa, and soon Japan. So it's a very scalable global solution. Thank you for listening, and looking forward to meet you in your cities when you have your free rides from DUCKT stations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very interesting, your approach. Question is on a bit on the landowners. They seem to be a key part in the system here. How long are you able to lock them in the contracts?
Well, right now, when they're making contracts with the operators, the longest ones are 2 years. Because the sustainability of the business is very scalable and very fast changing, so they want to keep it short. But infrastructure contracts are starting from 10 years, which is supporting our business model because we claim that we work with any type of vehicle in the market that belongs to any operator, which creates a sustainable investment for the city for the next 10 years, and they can keep on changing the mobility operators, although they have the same infrastructure.
My next question is obvious one, I think, is what's the payback period for an operator for one of your systems?
Well, let me give you an example. In operations right now, in sharing fleets, around 60% of their costs are operations and charging. So going for twice a day, treasure hunting the fleet, paying for extra batteries, paying for extra operation team looking for these vehicles, that's extremely costly. We put that down to 10%. And then instead of, let's say, per vehicle a day paying around 5-6 euros, you can pay 2 euros to DUCKT, and then lower your costs 3 times fold, and share this cost in the future with other operators as well, without making investment into a fixed asset.
Okay. That's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So, we continue with the last pitch of the day, which is a company in Kraftwerk. Couldn't be a better German name than this. So, Kraftwerk produces solid oxide fuel cells, which is kind of a bit of the holy grail of fuel cells. Very interesting technology, widely applicable across many different areas. So I'm personally very keen to hear how they addressing the challenge of solid oxide fuel cells. Please join us.
Thank you. Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm really happy to introduce you to the future of mobility, and also to the future, what we think of the next generation of fuel cell technologies. So why are we doing that? So we are really focusing on the largest problem the world is currently facing, global warming. And for us, it's really key to think of how to solve the problem. And it really came down on thinking that innovation and technology is the key. So therefore, we're fighting for saving the planet and our economy. So how did we do that? We really started with fundamental research quite a while ago. And now we're now able to establish one of the rare fuel cell manufacturers there and precision of the whole supply chain. So now we have a B2B company starting with automotive and aviation sector and small and mid-sized applications, producing fuel cells for the next generation. But what's the key about the fuel cell? It's actually in my pocket. So that's the cell we developed. And this cell is a high temperature fuel cell that has an amazing advantage. For example, we can use the extra efficiency and heat to heat or cool the car. But also in addition to that, this fuel cell gets rid of platinum. So it's extremely low cost with a target price below 50 euros per kilowatt. Also in addition to that, since we started with material science and nanotechnologies, we were able to do quick startups within just 3 seconds and almost unlimited cycling. But what we also think is key on a fuel cell is the fuel itself. So we were able to do a fuel flexibility. So we can use hydrogen, and the key is green hydrogen for a lot of various different applications, but we also can do almost every other hydrocarbons, including methane, ammonia, or other e-fuels. They're key on the market, and you also can be flexible, whatever you can use to lower the CO2 emissions and the carbon footprint of your technology. But also last but not least, we were able to implement a mass production facility, and you can interconnect the cell and whatever voltage and power output you want. So we already established a company in the United States and Europe and Asia, have customers all over the place, and we're really happy to have an extensive advisory board, including Professor James Sweeney from Stanford or Dr. Tom Rice from Plug and Play. The company has a history since it started 20 years ago with fundamental research. Unfortunately, on the way to go to market, it went into a bankruptcy process in 2015. But since we went in 2016, we did a turnaround, and therefore we're now right back to the stage with the technology to enter the market. And this was just happening with an incredible founding team, with the technology founder, Dr. Sascha Kühn, also myself, that joined a little later, since I'm under 30 still. But with this team, we were able to start the company with a new approach and enter the market. But what's the breakthrough? It's a cell. It's a cell with new nanolayers. For example, we're using now nickel as a catalyst instead of platinum, which is why we can be incredibly cheap. We put those into stacks, which is already in a standardized process, and those stacks then come into a box, which is already also standardized in our mass production facility, within 250 and 500 watt per box, and then you can interconnect those boxes whatever voltage and power output you need. So therefore, the customer is flexible, and we have a standardized mass production process. So therefore, it's 20 years of fundamental research and production and development, secured by more than 10 international patents, And therefore, we're now really ready to enter the world with a mass production facility, starting with the ground powders, producing the cell, the stack, and also the box. And really happy to look up for further partnerships right now. So this is why we already invested almost $6 million on ourselves, since we're a bootstrapped company, into our facility, starting now also with a lot of robotics to automate the production process to become even more efficient, since we're already at a stage where we have a capacity in a production for 750 kilowatts per week. And this is really now the time to start through within our business models, what I already explained in transportation sector, including powertrains and engine. Then we're also focusing on the aviation sector, where we're also focusing on drones, but also in the civil airspace so far already, and small and mid-sized applications for power, emergency power output, but also portable power. And in every sector, we already have paying customers. They gave us the ability to come further with our technology. And the new sector we also now focusing on is, of course, the reverse mode of the fuel cell, producing hydrocarbons through efficient energy processing. So that's what I meant, like we're already profitable since the very first day because we had to within our company, and really looking forward to an extensive market growth over the next couple of months and years. So this is really where we're now looking forward to grow even faster. We started a financing round just right now, already have the first terms included, partnerships closed, but really open for also more investors to join this amazing journey to hopefully disrupt the world and become a cleaner future. So therefore, thanks a lot, and yeah, really looking forward.
Thank you very much, Martin. You are playing in a very interesting space, but also a very crowded space. So how do you, what's the target market you're going for? I mean, we have electrification, we have e-fuels. Where is the space for the fuel cell in the market?
So this is why we really were focusing on the niches markets, like for example, on air vehicles like drones, where it's really key to have a fuel cell that's ultralight, quick startable, and also in the air, you need to be flexible on the fuel. So therefore, really starting with the niche markets, also the handheld power devices, like the small backup power devices, where there's not that much crowd space of other fuel cells right now. And also in the mobility sector, there's no other SOFC company that's able to do a portable SOFC fuel cell as we can do with this microtubular cell. And therefore, this is really where we saw the niches where we're entering right now, where we don't have that much of a competition.
Okay. So this would be long-haul transport and as well, or?
Yeah, for example, this is also a target market we're looking at. There is already a competition in it, but of course also there is various niches where we're really also looking right now, also markets where it's probably key to also think of not just hydrogen infrastructure for a long term, right?
So yeah, of course, that's a benefit of the solid oxide fuel cells. You have multiple inputs. What is the efficiency that you guys are able to gain? Typical fuel cells about 60%. Have you been able to up that a little bit?
Yeah, so this is really why I'm so proud that we started with materials science and nanotech. So therefore, we are now between 65 and 85% efficiency in the system.
Congratulations. That's very impressive. Okay. Last question would be on what's the total addressable market for the technology that you are looking at?
That's a tough one. It's quite huge, and it's even expanding what we see. So the market, if you asked me like 5 years ago, would be really, really small. But as you've seen, like 10 months ago, it started to rapidly grow. Like if batteries have their use cases in urban mobility and other applications, we see in the fuel cell sector, even now civil airspace is going into that, which is incredibly big. And also, if you look into new technologies like the unarmed, like drones, they also now, a lot of them going public, getting a lot of money, but also they need a new type of technology. And there's this new markets even popping up. So we're looking into a multi-trillion-dollar business market and an opportunity right here.
Okay. Sounds very promising. So thank you very much, Martin, for telling us more about Kraftwerk.
Great, yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. So yeah, Sebastian just mentioned this was the last pitch of today. Well, actually, it's not the last pitch of the day. This was the last pitch of this session.
Yes.
These were the first 3 categories. And so tonight at the award ceremony, we'll find out who will be the 3 winners from these 3 categories. But actually today at 3 p.m., don't forget to log in or dial in again, because then we'll hear the final 2 categories. So 6 more companies that will be pitching and that are competing for one of these 5 prizes tonight. So thanks, everyone,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, for your wonderful hosting of that first pitch session of the day. How exciting it is to see all those young and innovative companies really paving the way of the energy transition. So thanks again for being the host for this session. Definitely looking forward to the next set of pitches. So we're going to have a short break now to give you the possibility to re-energize, stretch, and come back to us at 1:25 Central European Summertime for the next session, which is going to be another fireside chat, again, focusing in on the future of the energy transition and the intersection of entrepreneurship and climate change. See you back here in a few minutes.